Tonight, the sudden death of Senator Lindsey Graham. Washington, D.C. in a state of shock.
America certainly has lost a statesman. I have lost a friend.
Emergency responders rushed to the 71-year-old's home after a 911 call.
I'm Nicole Killian on Capitol Hill, where lawmakers are coming to grips with Senator Graham's death and reflecting on his legacy as one of the GOP's most influential voices.
Also tonight, trading blows.
I'm Olivia Rinaldi at the White House. The U.S. and Iran intensify attacks in the fight over the Strait of Hormuz, leaving energy markets scrambling.
Triple weather threat.
I'm Carter Evans in Los Angeles. Record heat in several states with wildfires and devastating flooding. It's a weekend of extremes from coast to coast.
Demanding answers.
The people have the final word.
I'm Jason Allen. The son of a man killed by ICE officers in Houston calls it a hard day to be an American. The search for video that might reveal an answer to the shooting.
All that, plus it began with 48 hopeful nations. Now FIFA's World Cup is down to 4, with the game and stars taking America by storm.
This is the CBS Weekend News from New York with Jerika Duncan.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday. Jerika is off. I'm Tom Hansen. Tonight, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina is being remembered as one of the Republican Party's most prominent and powerful voices. Graham's sudden death at age 71 has stunned Washington. Flags in the nation's capital and across the country have been lowered to half staff. President Trump on social media called his political ally and frequent golf partner one of the greatest people and senators I have ever known. CBS News chief congressional correspondent Nicole Killian leads us off with more on Graham's life and legacy. Nicole, good evening to you.
Hey, good evening to you, Tom. According to Senator Graham's office, preliminary findings show that he suffered from cardiovascular disease. News of his death is coming as a shock to many here on Capitol Hill.
Today, flags were lowered to half staff at the Capitol and the White House as Washington paused to mourn the loss of South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham.
What a terrible loss it is. He was a great politician. He was a natural.
President Trump said he spoke with Graham last night just before paramedics were called to his D.C. home.
Long time no see.
Happy news.
Thank you very much.
The 71-year-old lawmaker had just returned from a visit to Ukraine, where he met with President Volodymyr Zelensky Friday.
He said he sounded a little tired, but perfect.
Bipartisan tributes poured in for the South Carolina Republican, from former Presidents Joe Biden and George W. Bush to global leaders like Zelensky and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Israel has lost one of the great champions of the American-Israeli alliance.
Known as a foreign policy hawk, the retired Air Force colonel was first elected to the U.S. House in 1994, where he served as an impeachment manager during President Clinton's trial. In 2002, he was elected to the Senate and worked across the aisle on a range of issues, from gun control to comprehensive immigration reform.
I'm Lindsey Graham.
In 2016, Graham ran for president, often clashing with then-candidate Donald Trump. He broke publicly with him in 2021 after the January 6th attack.
All I can say is count me out.
But the pair later repaired their relationship, becoming close allies.
The bond that he forged on the golf course that made him such a powerful advocate for the president and a powerful advocate for us with the president. And so we'll need that, but more importantly, what we'll need is a champion who steps up to the plate, not for politics, but for serving our country. That is who Lindsey was.
Now, just before his death, Senator Graham was working on a bipartisan bill to impose more sanctions on Russia to help end the war with Ukraine. South Carolina's governor is expected to appoint someone to serve out the remainder of his term. Tom?
And Nicole, there's also been a lot of concern about Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell, who was hospitalized last month. Any update on his condition?
That's right. We just got an update from Senator Mitch McConnell. He says that he did suffer a fall that landed him in the hospital last month and that he was unconscious. He also said that he has been dealing with a bout of pneumonia, so he is not expected to return to the Senate anytime soon while he continues his recovery. His absence, combined with Senator Graham's death, means that Republicans have 2 less votes to work with to move the president's agenda, Tom.
All right, Nicole Killing reporting for us tonight. Nicole, thank you. And now to the war with Iran. The Middle East back on high alert as Iran and the U.S. trade attacks American forces hitting 140 targets overnight. Shipping traffic in the Strait of Hormuz has now slowed to a crawl after Iran said it's closing the critical waterway again. And CBS's Olivia Rinaldi is at the White House. So, Olivia, what's the latest?
Well, good evening, Tom. The U.S. is refuting Iran's claim that the strait is closed. This morning, U.S. Central Command said Iran is not in control of the strait. Traffic is flowing, and the U.S. is prepared to ensure the freedom of navigation. This as strikes continue tonight. A violent night in the Middle East. The U.S. attacking Iran by air and launching cruise missiles by sea, with the most strikes in a single night this week. The response came after Central Command said Iran struck a ship in the Strait of Hormuz. A crew member is still missing. Secretary Pete Hegseth had this warning. Iran made a poor choice. Now they pay.
We bombed the hell out of them last night. They're very, very evil and sick people.
President Trump told NBC's Meet the Press that Iran agreed to a deal yesterday before the attacks.
They gave up everything. And then after that, they left the room, and then within an hour, they launched a drone at a ship.
Iran unleashed missiles and drones at Jordan, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar following the U.S. assault, and targeted another ship, leaving control of the strait uncertain. Retired General Frank McKenzie explained on Face the Nation why the traffic in the strait is still not freely flowing.
No, it's not right now because we have not deployed all the capabilities that we have to open the strait. We certainly can do that. It would require putting warships up into narrow waters.
A consequence of the ambiguity in the strait, the risk of oil prices surging again. The national average for a gallon of gas is up 7 cents since the ceasefire fizzled out. Tom?
Olivia Rinaldi for us tonight at the White House. Olivia, thank you. Russian attacks on Ukraine killed at least 6 people, including a child this weekend. People enjoying a summer day were sent ducking for cover by explosions in the northeastern region. Video shows a woman sheltering a child at a playground while a coffee shop became chaotic during an attack. Now to the weather and a weekend of extremes. Tonight, more than 58 million Americans under alerts as a heat wave scorches the West. Billings, Montana, really feeling it at 110 degrees. That's a new record high. The heat also fueling fires and firing up thunderstorms. CBS's Carter Evans is in Los Angeles with more. Carter, good evening.
Well, good evening, Tom. We're expecting a heat wave here in Los Angeles in the coming days with monsoonal moisture that could bring thunderstorms and dry lightning, a big concern for firefighters. Progress tonight on the Summit Fire, which has burned nearly 3,000 acres outside Los Angeles. Just a few miles west, firefighters made quick work on a fast-moving blaze that came dangerously close to homes. While in Loyalton, California,
the fire off Highway 70.
A helicopter crew mapped out another fire from above.
It's all open line.
And in Colorado, where the Aspen Acres fire burned hundreds of homes, U.S. Senator John Hickenlooper toured the damage.
We definitely need more funding. There have been huge cuts to the fire service. There have been cuts to BLM. There have been cuts everywhere.
Fueling those fire concerns is extreme heat, now bearing down on millions.
If the wind ain't blowing, you're trying to pour water on yourself or whatever you could do. It is hot out there.
Further east, too much water is a concern. In New Orleans, thunderstorms dumped several inches of rain, forcing families to wade through knee-high water.
Come on, y'all, keep up.
Communities in Philadelphia are cleaning up after powerful microbursts ripped through neighborhoods with wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour.
Heard a giant boom, and I'm like, did we get hit by lightning? And I looked out the front door and saw the roof was on top of my vehicle.
So it's really from one extreme to the other. About 40% of the country is experiencing drought conditions right now. Tom?
All right, Carter, thank you for that. And for the latest on the extreme weather, let's turn to CBS meteorologist Andrew Kozak, who's tracking it all. So, Andrew, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Tom, good evening. I can tell you the name of the game for tens of millions of you is going to be the searing heat. We've got excessive heat warnings, heat advisories for much of the West and even places bordering Canada. We've talked about Billings, Montana, shattering records today, over 110 degrees. That spreads to places like Rapid City, Omaha, Nebraska, and as we head into the next couple of days, even Minneapolis, mid to upper 90s. Look at Green Bay, Wisconsin, 98 degrees by Tuesday. All of this part of a massive heat dome, and it's not just going to stay in this area, it's going to move across the Great Lakes. By Wednesday, places like New York City could be knocking on the door of triple-digit heat. Tonight, I want to talk about the severe weather across the southeast as well. This is the same system, by the way. They gave 4 different microbursts to places like Philadelphia, trees down power lines. We could see that and flash flooding for portions of Georgia and South Carolina into this evening. That continues for tomorrow, so severe weather possible across the South. Heat, the big story again. Tom, a good reminder to check on the very old, the very young, and don't forget the pets.
Andrew, thank you for that. And now to Houston, where protests have been building after ICE officers killed a Mexican man who had lived in the U.S. for more than 30 years. Local investigators and activists are still searching for video to explain what happened. And CBS's Jason Allen reports from Dallas for us tonight. Jason, what can you tell us?
Tom, good evening. The ICE officers who were involved were not wearing body cameras. They did not have dashboard cameras on their cars. It's an attorney for eyewitnesses who is providing the best description so far of the moment that shot was fired. Demonstrators marched in Houston, angry over the shooting death of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo. An ICE officer shot and killed Araujo in his work van last week. Security cameras captured unmarked ICE vehicles pursuing the van after Araujo picked up co-workers for a construction job. Homeland Security said officers thought one of the men resembled someone they were looking for, and that Araujo attempted to run over an officer who fired in self-defense. Hugo Balderas, an attorney for 2 of the men in the van, said he spoke to them in detention this weekend.
Lorenzo had already parked the van. The ICE agent reaches in, fires a shot directly in front of Victor's face, strikes Lorenzo on the side.
Asked about the shooting, White House Borders Czar Tom Homan said if officers violated policy or the law, they would be dealt with.
If the officers acted outside policy or illegally, they'll be held accountable.
Even though my government, my federal government, took away my father.
One of Araujo's 3 sons spoke at a vigil for his father.
We the people will bring justice. Yes. We the people are America.
State legislators and community organizers have been drawing comparisons between this shooting and the shootings that happened in Minnesota earlier this year. They're continuing to encourage people to show up at city meetings throughout the week and push for an independent investigation. Tom?
Jason Allen for us tonight from Texas. Jason, thank you. A massive fire engulfed a bar in Thailand's capital of Bangkok just a few hours ago. Officials said at least 27 people were killed and several others injured. The fire looks like a blowtorch in social media video, and people are seen running for their lives. The cause is under investigation. Tonight, a new back-to-back champion at Wimbledon. The world's #1 men's tennis player, Italian Yannick Sinner, defeated #2 Alexander Zverev in 4 sets. That follows Sinner's win at the All England Club last year. Britain's Princess Kate presented the winner's trophy. That's after she and Prince William, plus their 2 oldest children, enjoyed the match from the royal box. Okay, straight ahead on the CBS Weekend News, the reigning Super Bowl champs are being sold for billions. Where is that money going? But first, this story.
I'm Chanel Call in New York. The World Cup has its Final 4. So what's to come on the pitch and how America is forever changed? That's ahead on the CBS Weekend News.
Tonight, the final 4 teams in the World Cup are set for this week's semifinals. 3 European heavyweights made it through the 48-team bracket. Those teams are Spain, France, and England. Plus, South America's Argentina behind the boot of superstar Lionel Messi. And CBS's Chanel Call is in New York with more on what's ahead as America says so long to a fan favorite. Chanel?
And Tom, we've seen misery, heartbreak, and jubilation over the last few weeks. Soccer-themed venues like this restaurant behind me packed on game days with Americans soaking it up.
This was the moment England booked its ticket to the Final 4.
honestly, it was brilliant.
The victory for England means Norway is going home.
Honestly, I was devastated, but then I came around to the streets and everyone is just so uplifting, and Norway just got so far.
Helping row Norway to the quarterfinals, striker Erling Haaland, one of the top World Cup scorers.
Oh, y'all.
But it's his wonder and awe of all things American shared on social media that's captured hearts.
You know what I'm looking forward to? Walking out on the street and doing this.
Yesterday in Miami, dozens gathered for a Haaland lookalike contest.
A lot of random people call me Haaland on the streets, even before the World Cup.
The worldwide soccer competition has smashed records for U.S. ratings. The U.S. men's national team's last game reaching over 30 million viewers. Fans around the world also tuned in last night to cheer on Argentina's superstar Lionel Messi. Argentina bested Switzerland in extra time.
We suffered more than we needed to, but we came out with a win. That's all that matters.
France and Spain will compete on Tuesday, and then England takes on Argentina on Wednesday. Tickets for some of those games are going for as much as $19,000 each. Tom?
Quite a price tag there. All right, Chanel, thank you. And still ahead on the CBS Weekend News, a bison charges a family at Yellowstone. So what happened next? Tonight, a tourist is recovering after a bison attack at Yellowstone National Park. Local reports say a man was standing far away from the 2,000-pound animal when it charged and hooked him, hurling him 8 feet in the air. A bystander described the bison as agitated and charging anything. Today, New York City's Guggenheim Museum was open as usual despite being forced to disinfect part of the building this week. The structure was among a few dozen buildings that tested positive for the bacteria that causes Legionnaire's disease following an outbreak last week. The museum says the city has confirmed there is no risk to the public. The Seattle Seahawks are being sold for an expected record-setting price, about $9.6 billion. Most of those billions will go to charity, as required by the will of the team's former owner, Paul Allen. Allen bought the team 3 decades ago for nearly $200 million. Okay, next on the CBS Weekend News, the unique way one airport is helping travelers enjoy their wait time. But first, a look back at this day in history.
They were supposed to play 2 games and have one anti-disco demonstration between the games.
But very quickly it got out of hand.
It's a first, it's official, it's a woman. Walter Mondale today picked New York Congresswoman Geraldine Ferraro his #1 choice for #2 on the ticket.
The Food and Drug Administration gave its approval for a new pill that's taken once a day. It's a single dose that would replace several that patients now take.
And finally here tonight, as we close out one of the busiest travel weeks of the year, we head to an airport trying to make all the waiting around a bit more fun. In tonight's Weekend Journal, CBS's Joy Benedict shows us a vending machine which is dispensing a snack made of words.
They call them the friendly skies. But if you've traveled lately, it's just a lot of noise. From security to the gate, the signs telling you where to go and what to do. But at the Ontario International Airport in Southern California, they're trying to give you something more fun, at least to read.
I think it's fun because then if you're, here for a long time, then you've got something to do.
Maria Elena Rosas stumbled on the short story dispenser at the airport. With the push of a button, out pops a printed parable.
Bolas de cerámica.
She picked the Spanish option, but this dispenser also has stories in English and a children's choice, something for every traveler, and it's free.
It's been super popular with passengers.
Steve Lambert is the spokesperson for the airport.
We want people to come here because they want to enjoy their travel experience.
And these little literary gadgets are printing all over the world. The short story dispenser is a product of French publishing house Short Edition.
They were sitting having coffee, French coffee, in front of the vending machine. And they said, well, what if we dispense stories instead of chocolates out of a vending machine?
Kristen Leroy is with Short Edition. She says since developing the chest full of chronicles a few years ago, they now have more than 600 set up worldwide, half of which are in the U.S.
We started in the U.S. with Oakland International, BART in the San Francisco Bay Area.
But Short Edition doesn't want you to just read its stories. It wants you to help write them also.
If a writer wants to submit to us, they just click on our website and submit.
And although a lot of this process is digital, what you read is printed, encouraging you to ditch the phone, the laptop, and get back to paper, if only for a minute.
I like the print, for sure.
And hopefully find a little peace in the print, thanks to a tale that travels. Joy Benedict, CBS News, Ontario, California.
Peace in the print. What a concept. And that's the CBS Weekend News for this Sunday. I'm Tom Hansen in New York. Good night.